All right. Yes, indeed, it is. Once again, time for the Kanika Sports Show, everybody. Welcome live from the desert. We are giving you the KSS treatment, kissing you a happy Monday, everybody. And I am joined once again by the one, the only, Nika, everybody. Woo! Nika!
Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you, Kenny, for this lovely introduction. How is everybody doing after the big game yesterday?
Yes, it's the big hangover in Philadelphia, right?
I hope so. I mean, the size of the crowd was humongous.
It looked like they were having a great time.
Oh, yeah. But you know what? After watching that celebration with the spillover of the people to the streets, there was no burning cars, smashing windows. It was nice, peaceful, and looked really nice.
Well, we fell asleep at 9 o'clock, everybody. So if that's not true, don't hold it against us. And that's on the west side of things of the United States. So,
but we did get up early, so
we did. We had to get ready for this great show that we have for you guys today, and we wanted to review all of these festivities that we took in yesterday on Tubi. Everybody. That's right. To be or not to be. Well, we were to be yesterday for Super Bowl 59. And that's a fun Super Bowl for me, by the way, because my football number in high school was 59, everybody. Yes.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
cool.
Absolutely. And next year is Super Bowl 60, which will mark the 40th anniversary of the faithful, the beloved.
The Bears! Ah, the Bears!
Exactly. And you might have noticed we upgraded our Da Bears sound effect to be that of Mr. Matthew McConaughey, everybody. That is in honor of his new commercial that's airing. We saw a kind of extended version of this during the Super Bowl, which we're going to talk about later during our commercial review segment that we have planned for you guys today. And yeah, just to run it down, we're going to talk about the big game, of course, and all of our thoughts about what happened on the field. We're going to talk about the commercials that aired and give our thoughts about which ones we like best, which ones were well edited. You know, I'm an editor, so I'm going to talk about some of those video editing things I saw in the commercial world. And we have the halftime show review as well, which is turning out to be quite controversial, everybody. So stay tuned for that at the end of the show. But I really want to just start off with the Tubi Experience, Nika. We got to watch the Super Bowl this year, and we are cord cutters, by the way. We have no cable packages. We survive. We have MLB TV. We get a subscription to that, so we are able to watch all of our spring training games. And yeah, we don't feel like the cable package is worth it because we never would watch all of it that is contained within it for the price that it is at.
You are spot on. And it's been a very long time since we did have any cable that we subscribed to. I mean, we did try the YouTube TV at one point, and we were not happy with it.
Well, it's almost just as expensive at the end of the day because by the time the costs go up, it's up to 70 some bucks a month now. And when you factor in your internet bill then, and then all your other, you still need Disney Plus, you still need ESPN Plus, you still need all the HBO Max. You need everything to get everything, right? So we try to be a little bit more selective. We subscribe to certain apps when there's a show we want to watch. Like last year, we got a Max subscription because the Pete Rose documentary was coming out and Lord of the Rings was on there. And those are things that we like very much. So, and we know we're going to get use out of that throughout the course of a year. And so that's a subscription that makes sense for us. Now, having cable has been a hindrance for the Super Bowl in the past. I think we've been able to enjoy it on Peacock, if I'm not mistaken, in the past, because, like, if you don't know this, the Super Bowl rotates from Fox to NBC to ABC to CBS and then back to Fox again, and it repeats, and rinse, wash, repeat. So this was 2025. In 2029, Fox will get it again, and presumably Tubi, since Fox owns Tubi, and again in 2033. So we have no idea how it's going to work next year. I don't even remember who has it, and I'm not going to look it up right now, but we want to talk about the Tubi Experience because this is the first time Tubi aired the Super Bowl live, and I can't wait to find out the numbers and the success stories about this. I haven't really looked into it today, and I think it's too early for all the data to probably be compiled and released yet, but I hope it was a success, man, because more events like this need to be made available to the public for consumption. The MLB All-Star Game, all the NHL, the NBA, the NFL, all the all-star activities for all the sports, they should be made available for people to watch and help sell the game to new people. and expand the audience. Why not? And the ad revenue that you get off of those bigger events will gladly pay for making it available. I feel like you can even count them as more eyeballs, right?
Oh, I agree. Also, Tubi is available in other countries. So the Super Bowl was probably streamed
For free.
for free to a bunch of other countries. I mean, my cousin in Germany was watching it. I don't know if she was watching on Tubi.
I know, but she was watching it at midnight.
At midnight.
That's so awesome. You guys were having a call in German or in Polish, and I could not understand one word. But I did hear the word grill, and I was correct in assuming that she was telling her cousin that I was outside handling the grilling at the moment.
Yep, that's exactly what happened.
Yep. And that's her story, and she's sticking to it. I'll never know. I can't understand it. But I like listening to it. I won't lie. All right, everybody. Well, we had a Super Bowl yesterday, Nika, and it was the Eagles against the reigning champions, the Chiefs. Andy Reid, the head coach, Patrick Mahomes, he is a 3-time Super Bowl champion already and on their way to the dynasty, right? He's 29 years old. Wow. What happened?
I don't know, but the Eagles won. That's all that matters.
Andy Reid, the walrus. He didn't show up. I don't know.
Well, they did show up. They just didn't play their...
Well, they took the bus and they looked nicely dressed when they walked in, but I mean, what we saw on the field was not the look of the reigning champs with all the confidence on their side, right? It looked like the Eagles had their number from the get-go. This was an ugly one, honestly. With 8 minutes and 42 seconds or so left in the second quarter, this happened.
Mahomes rolling out, looking, firing, intercepted, picked up by Cooper DeJean, gets a block, DeJean is in, touchdown! Wow!
This is the famous Tom Brady wow moment.
Wow!
Once this interception happened and they took it back all the way for a touchdown, it was over. I knew this game was over. I knew it would take a miracle for Kansas City to win. And when they came out from the second half, when they got the ball and they wwere already down, 24-0, 27-0, and they didn't score a touchdown right then and there, it was over. Famously, New England, Tom Brady of all people who was calling this game, New England was down 28-3 in the Super Bowl the year they came back, I believe, and tied the Giants. And then that game went to overtime, and the Giants wound up winning. Eli threw that pass that was caught off when the guy was holding it on the defender's helmet. It was a crazy catch, and it was one of the best Super Bowl endings in history of Super Bowls. I'll never forget it. But that was not yesterday. This was I would have to call it a lame duck Super Bowl.
Yeah, it did feel a little one-sided. Kansas City just didn't show up.
And that's not their MO, you know. That their MO is at least they score.
But they did try in the second half. They
Never did quit.
Right. If the game would have started in the second half, we might have had a better game. But
Potentially, yeah. If the fourth quarter was the second quarter, yes, I could definitely see that. I mean, but the Eagles weren't, they didn't do nothing in the second half, and they continued to add to their lead and make it a laugher. It was literally like 40-6 at one point, or set. I don't remember exactly. I lost track. It was an ugly one at the end of it, and I guess I wish I would have seen more of a offensive kind of back and forth game. That's what I was hoping for. High scoring. Lots of offense, lots of skill players making special plays in the biggest game. It feels like we'd never, ever get quite that game where it's just bang, 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 bang. I wanted to see a little banging.
No, we didn't get a bunch of bangings like that, but we did shed a lot of commercials.
We did get a shitload of commercials. We'll talk about our reviews of the commercials in 1 second. But before we get off the game itself, because there's not really a lot to talk about, it's a boring game. All I want to say is, like, this seems to be a theme that happens in New Orleans when the Super Bowl rolls into town, is that the NFC team tends to steamroll the AFC team. I'm, of course, referring to the 1986 Chicago Bears, my friend, and the Super Bowl Shuffle.
We are the Bears, shuffling crew, shuffling on down, doing it for you. We're so bad, we know we're good.
feel like dancing after listening to that. Maybe next year, baby. Maybe next year we can finally bring the Super Bowl trophy back home to Chicago. It's been 40 years. 40.
Well, it'll be nice round number to do that.
Yes, it will. And we'll have to wait and see. Of course, the Bears will probably have to get through the Eagles, or someone will have to, in order to get there, because they look like a strong team. And they're
did.
probably set up for a while. They just got Saquon Barkley, and he's a beast.
Well, this is the second Super Bowl win for the whole franchise.
For the whole franchise, yeah.
Maybe they want to be a dynasty as well.
Hey, 2 out of 59 ain't bad, everybody.
It's been more than the Bears have.
Sniffle. Yeah. And how many NFL championships do you got over there, Eagles? From the 40s and the 30s and the 1920s. I'm being a sore loser on that one.
How many do the Bears have?
A lot.
Oh,
Like 13.
all right.
They have 13 NFL championships and like 1 Super Bowl, because they didn't have the Super Bowl before the NFC and the AFC merged. And before that, it was just the NFC, and the NFC had the NFL championship. That was it. Well, the
next
NFC was the NFL. That's why it's the NFC. It retained its nameship. All right, everybody. Well, we had some commercials during this game.
Did.
And I wrote down that this was not the best year of commercials in my memory. And I'm hard pressed to pick out a year or a certain Super Bowl that had like great commercials, but it just feels like on the whole they were kind of average, except for a few outliers.
Well, I will give you a little number here.
Okay, give me some numbers, Nika.
The price tag was around $8 million for the spot during the Super Bowl 59 ad. That's a lot of money.
That is a lot of loot,
And-
everybody.
Advertisers still believe that this is a great deal for a commercial as a price tag goes, because you get so many eyeballs on them.
Yeah. If in case you are not aware, advertising blocks are sold in impressions, and television companies or stations and all that use their viewership numbers to sell those slots and be like, well, this is how many eyeballs are going to be out. And they call those impressions. And it's about how many impressions you can get on your product. And generally, the more impressions you get, the higher amount of people click through or visit your homepage. Or, well, you have an interesting one about Fetch, right? Like, this happened at the end of the Super Bowl, and I didn't even know this until this morning. Let everyone know what happened with Fetch.
The Fetch is an app that you downloaded on your phone that gives you points for your receipts and stuff like that. And at the end of the game,
They aired a
were
commercial.
giving a giveaway.
They aired a commercial, though, right?
Yes, they had a commercial at the very end of the game, at the last 2 minutes of the game.
Huh.
You had to have the app, and they were giving a drawing of $10,000 to 120 participants. So one every second, somebody could have won $10,000.
That's crazy. And so 120 people who were watching that commercial and logged in at that time wound up winning
10 grand.
just for that.
Well, yes, they did the drawing. We didn't know anything about it till today.
This is such a clever gimmick, and now I feel like every company is going to try and repeat it, and it's going to become like the most annoying thing ever, and everyone's going to chalk it up to like spam email, like the similar thing, right? Like, oh, that commercial tried to get me to click through on their stupid ad.
Potentially, sure.
Well, thanks a lot, Fetch. You just ruined it for everyone with your great idea.
Well, somebody got lucky, probably. 120 people will not complain about this. So.
Yeah, congratulations. Well, we mentioned that Matthew McConaughey ad already, and if you haven't seen it, particularly him dressing up as Mike Ditka, oh my gosh, it is hysterical.
It's part of his Uber Eats commercial.
Yes, it's part of their campaign.
Yes.
Correct.
And it's a really fun commercial. He plays different characters, and it's fun to watch.
It totally is, and I could listen to him say "Da Bears" all day long.
Da Bears! Ah! Da Bears!
Exactly. The goofiest commercial I think I remember seeing last night was the Seal commercial, everybody. And immediately you'll probably know what I'm talking to if you saw it. It was a Mountain Dew commercial that had a seal with a AI imposed face of Seal the musician singing "Kiss by a Rose." The classic from, I believe, 1995, off the top of my head. Correct me if I'm wrong, everybody. I'm not looking it up. But this was ridiculous looking as it sounds, and it definitely made me chuckle. It was good to see that Seal was actually in it at the end, like as himself in the back of the boat, waving and like having a good laugh about it, and that made it all complete for me. It was just knowing that he was cool with all this and that he was probably laughing about it too.
There were some fun commercials for sure. Some of them were a little bit of a stretch, but there was a lot of commercials though. A lot.
It was, and I also feel like some of the better ones came intermixed like at different times. Like usually there's like all the commercials are kind of played by halftime, and then you see some repeats. And like you're saying and I'm saying, like some of these came in the second half, like the first time, and at least that we saw them.
And they started a lot of commercial earlier. The Mission Impossible with Tom Cruise started even before the game.
Yeah, there was something shown in pregame. I don't know if this was a teaser to the trailer that played actually during the Super Bowl, but yeah, and there's all sorts of gimmicks imposed on these things now, and like they just love to generate hype, right?
Yes.
All right.
definitely
Well, I wrote down that Stella had a good commercial with Matt Damon and David Beckham, and I think you had particularly enjoyment because of. We just thought Matt Damon looked really cool the way he had his beard.
And they threw Ben Affleck under the bus at the end. It was
They
funny.
totally did. And I believe, I don't remember what year it was, but it was in the past couple of years that there was like Matt Damon and Ben Affleck and J-Lo were in a Dunkin' Donuts like music video commercial that was
think that was last
really
year.
weird. And boy, this was much funnier to me.
Yes.
Like, and Matt Damon plays David Beckham's like long lost brother in this.
Twin brother.
Yeah, twin brother in this sketch. And at the end, he punts a football and like punts the hell out of it, and like turns and looks at David like, yeah, the neighborhood folks enjoy watching me do this, and it's like, oh, it's like it's part of the family genes. Really funny stuff.
It was. And also, speaking of brothers, the Manning brothers were part of this whole Super Bowl 59. They were pre-show entertainment, I guess.
Yeah, there's this like Manning contest every year, I guess.
As a kicker.
This was the third one. Now, we haven't had access to all the NFL like channels and pregame shows and streaming and all that stuff since we've cut the cord. I don't remember ever watching this before, but this was apparently the third time they've done this. And so Eli won this year. And he got the fame, he got the glory, he got to rub it in Peyton's face. Boy, can I just say, the Manning brothers, I wish they could call the Super Bowl because Tom Brady is stiff as a diving board, man.
Yeah. Hopefully he can get better if they bring him back. Just bring the Manning brothers.
I mean, it's almost like they're so much better at it, and the back and forth and the banter that they have as brothers, you can just tell like it's more authentic football conversation when the Manning brothers are talking on ESPN2 on a Monday Night Football game than any other broadcast that exists in the NFL.
Well, everybody else comes across as very stiff suit.
Yeah, and unfortunately, that broadcast is going to put everyone else out of business, I think. You know, I remember when MLB did it during COVID, when they had just the MLB Network guys, like, in an empty stadium just kind of watching it and, like, being like, yeah, bro, it's cool. I mean, but they were having more fun during those games and talking about more old stories about being on the road, and that's what people love to listen to, you know?
That's why podcasts are so popular. That's why people tune in for these longer
Well, not ours yet,
conversations.
but we're working on it. And if you have not subscribed yet, please do us a favor and help us out and push that button for us, please, and punch that ticket. And if you are enjoying what you're hearing, please pass the word along to your sports friend fanatic in your household. We cover it all here. We cover MLB, NFL, even some NBA and WWE, everybody, from time to time. It's not our forte, but we're learning. And I come from 90s Bulls, so I'm trying to understand the modern NBA more. It's a little bit too spear chucky and slow for my tastes, but I'm getting there. I'm a big Matas Buzelis fan on the Bulls right now, and I'm looking forward to watching him do the dunk contest. But I digress. Baseball season's right around the corner. We will have tons of baseball breaking news on here twice a week. And today, we're talking about the big game yesterday, Nika.
No, we're talking about the commercials right now.
Well, yeah, there's one more commercial I wanted to mention before we move on, and that is the Harrison Ford commercial for Jeep. And this was probably the most well-crafted cinematic moral. This was like Harrison Ford's life book lesson guide, right?
I guess you can say that.
It's his life manual. I'm sorry. He was mentioning the user's manual, and he was kind of like implying like, well, here's my user's manual on life. And if you haven't seen this commercial and heard his wisdom, take a listen to some of it here.
Longest thing we ever do is live our lives. But life doesn't come with an owner's manual. Might have been nice, huh? But that means we get to write our own stories.
That's good stuff, huh, Nika?
When I saw this commercial first, I didn't know whether that's a commercial for a car or he is just giving us a message.
And that's a good thing.
Right, till I saw the keychain and it says Jeep on it. And I was like, oh, that's a commercial for a car.
Yeah, and I don't think it dawned on me until I saw the archival footage where there was like 2 shots in a row in black and white during military operations of Jeeps. And I was like, oh, this might be a Jeep commercial.
Yeah, it was very interesting the way they have done this. And I actually enjoyed it because it was cinematic.
Yeah. No, I enjoyed it. And who doesn't love me some hair?
Choose what makes you happy. My friends, my family, my work make me happy. This Jeep makes me happy, even though my name is
Harrison
Wanna go
Ford.
get a Jeep? I don't think so. But
Harrison Ford reminds us all why he's one of the best American actors to ever live. All those movies that made him successful, Star Wars, Indiana Jones, you can chalk them up as action movies all you want, but his acting is what makes those movies special. All right, everybody. Well, we also had some halftime entertainment to talk about at this Super Bowl, and this might be the most controversial thing that happened during the entire event, right, Nika?
It might be. It really might be.
This turned into quickly camps, I guess. This turned into divisiveness really quickly, and I think that's unfortunate, really, because it takes away a lot of the actual critical conversation we should maybe be having about this and what it should be. Like, what should the Super Bowl halftime be? What is the ideal Super Bowl halftime show?
I think if you ask anybody, they will all give you different answers.
That's true. That is true. But I also feel like when you have an event like this and you have a lot of eyeballs, as the advertisers know, that it should be up to the job of the producers and the people who are putting on this halftime entertainment to have it be far wide reaching. And this was not that, I don't think. This was artistic. I don't want to say I didn't care for it. I thought it was well done. The choreography was obviously very good. Even some of the camera shots, like showing the Steadicam operator from above walking backwards, and I'm into all that as a student of the game of filmmaking, but I don't know if this was the right venue for this kind of a presentation.
I don't think the presentation of the halftime translated to a TV audience. It was a DJ.
It was one performer and a guest vocalist, a guy rapping and a girl that sang a hook on one song during the entire performance. That's it.
Exactly. There was no live instruments. There was no live music. It didn't translate as a halftime show. It translated more as a theater recital.
Yeah.
Something theatrical.
Totally. It came almost off as a musical. Like if you were to go see what's the modern hip hop musical? Hamilton.
Okay.
If you were to go see Hamilton, I feel like this would fit in there a little bit. It's like performance theater, and it's very artistic. And that's not casting a judgment on the product itself. Like, yes, I can recognize it as a musician. I can hear it and understand the repetitiveness of it is catchy and that it's well done. However, it did not translate to TV. I felt like the sound mix was really bad.
It was.
And like it was the mix that was made for the arena that was then put into TV speakers, and it's not the same thing. And if you guys don't know this, just a little quick educational nugget for you. If you've never recorded a board feed from a live concert show, if you ever hear and listen back to one, you will know that the vocals are pushed up in the mix because the guitars and the drums and all the instruments make a lot of noise and racket. And when they're mic'd up, it becomes hard to hear vocals on top of it. So what happens is the vocals become pushed over in the mix because when you're in a big room and the sound carries, it all sounds good from there. And that soundboard operator's generally at a distance where he can hear that. But when you hear it back, the vocals are louder. And this is what that sounded to me. And I happen to know that if you take the time and the trouble, you can make a separate sound mix for broadcast. I've done it.
Well, they didn't
and they
consult.
didn't do that. And it affects the products. Invest the money. Make a separate mix for the audience at home.
They didn't consult the Kanika Media Consulting Group.
Well, we're available, everybody. We can kiss your next presentation and elevate it to, standards.
Yes, we could definitely do that. So give
Enhance
us a
for the
shout.
home theater, baby. Okay. Well, there was no musicians, as you said, also, and that bothered me a little bit. Some of my favorite Super Bowl performances, The Who. It's all about you want to talk about theater. That's like rock theater, baby. And they brought it. They brought the energy. Another performance that stands out to me was the Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg, because I want to compare that to what we saw last night. Like, that's hip hop. And yet they brought musicians with them to perform. You could argue whether they were playing actually while the performance was happening, but they sure sold it to me when I rewatched it. I was rewatching it this morning. I was watching carefully, and like whether or not they were actually performing or not, they sold it like they were, and I respect that. And the mix was good. The balance was good. I don't know if this helped it or not, but it was in LA and it was light outside still when halftime started, and it just had a totally different vibe. I could also hear the crowd just cheering throughout the whole thing. Like, and it just made me wonder, do these songs that were here during the halftime show need to be more, have they needed to permeate culture for a longer period of time than Kendrick Lamar? I get that his music is popular right now and that he just won Grammy of the Year for Record of the Year or whatever, but I don't think it's spread to the mainstream like Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg did, and they just performed only 2 years ago, and they were singing and rapping songs during their performance that were like 20, 25 years old or more. Do you have anything to add about my rant here? Or
I thought the halftime was not very entertaining and lack enthusiasm. It felt slow. It wasn't a halftime I wanted to see, if that makes sense.
It did, and I'm a subscriber to the Lefsetz letter, Nika, and if you don't know, Bob Lefsetz is the author of the Lefsetz letter, and he has written about the music industry since the early 80s. In fact, his original newsletter literally went out via the post. You got it sent to you as a copy in the mail. Things have enhanced now, and he writes a lot more frequently as he has a online blog, and nevertheless, he had some thoughts even last night. And I think he echoes a lot of what you're saying in this opening paragraph here. And I just want to take a second and read it. He writes, Kendrick Lamar at the Super Bowl. Did it work as television? ? Am I the only one who thought this halftime performance was a dud? There are hosannas all over the media. Then again, a lot of these outlets are just looking for clicks. And I get that if you're a hip hop fan, if you like Kendrick Lamar, it was great to see your own on the big stage. But did it work as a performance? A guy rapping to track sans melody. I mean,
Yep.
I have to say, I like 100% agree with this. It's not necessarily a commentary on the product itself to criticize the fact that this was literally just a guy and a DJ and one guest vocalist for about, a minute during the entire, 10 to 15 minute performance. The dance and the choreography was fine, but it was all very dark and there was not a lot of, colorful lighting and not a lot of, what you would typically associate with a concert. Am I right?
No, you are spot on it. That's why I say it felt unenthusiastic. It felt more of I want to make a statement about something versus entertain people.
100%.
And you are an entertainer. You are in business of entertaining. You can do both. You can make a statement and entertain people at the same time. But this felt flat.
It felt flat for me too. And I guess I just would have liked to have seen more of the music being performed and having it be more of a celebration of music at an event where we're just watching a football game at the end of all of this versus more performance theater here. And you can all debate about the meaning online and what the whole performance stood for and was in response to or whatever. Like, I'll
we're not here
read
for that.
all of it and probably have my own thoughts about it, but that's not what we're here to do. We're just judging it as a concert. And like, I think if you look at last night's and you look at The Who from 2001 and you look at Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg from 2023 and you look at some of these other memorable halftime performances throughout history, it's really just about music, man.
You remember Janet Jackson with the nipple.
How can you forget?
Exactly.
That's the nip slip heard around the world, everybody.
But she had
Thank
a
you, Justin
band.
Timberlake.
There was a band. There was a loud sound coming through, and it was
Yeah.
people actually getting
I know,
entertained.
the queen of pop. I mean, Michael Jackson being the king, but Janet over here, she had musicians on stage with her that night and choreographed dance people and stuff. And but it's music too. It's not just dancers. And
Right.
I think whoever performed or whoever produced this last night and was in charge, you missed it, man. It was too much thought. You thought too much about it. You just entertain us. Just bring
Wanna make a-
Prince. I mentioned Prince because of Purple Rain. It was literally raining at halftime, and they turned the whole stage purple with his symbol, and they played Purple Rain in the rain. Like, you can't even script that stuff. That happened during a Super Bowl halftime. So
Also, with this performance, they wanted to make a political statement or any statement for that matter. The statement now gets lost because everybody's talking about how bad the performance was.
or how much they liked it. Because
Or
you
how
get
much
both
they liked
you
it.
get both camps on this one, and then you get people like me and you and Bob Lefsetz who are like, yeah, it's fine, but it's not the right venue, it's not the right application of the music, and that's just a missed opportunity,
Well,
in my opinion.
I Googled this, and the majority of the people saying that it was the worst ever. So,
Well, I mean, and again, we're not here to cast commentary on the quality of the show itself, because whether you're a hater or whether you liked it and loved it, I think we can all admit that it was more musical theater and less musical concert. And when you're having a halftime show at the Super Bowl, the biggest eyeball event in the world, if I'm producing that whole show, including the halftime or the whole shebang, I'm asking myself, why aren't we choosing a artist that I guess gonna have the biggest, broadest appeal to that audience? And I'm not saying it's not Kendrick Lamar, but that show that we saw was not the best of, I think, how he can package it all together. And like you said, if it is trying to be used to make a statement, I don't think it's the right venue.
it's not. And the statement now is lost or getting lost.
Put it in your own show, bro. Like U2 did, you know? Like U2, I rarely gets political in public, but during their own show, they do. All right. Well, that's our review of the musical part of the halftime show. But overall, I think this whole experience was just a letdown for me because partly we got excited about being able to take all of it in for a change on Tubi. And maybe if we get access to it in the future like this, the same way through the whoever carries it, we'll be able to enjoy it that way as well. It's really hard of all places when it's on ABC, believe it or not, because they don't carry it on their streaming partners yet. Now, that may change. They may put it on Disney Plus, or they may put it on something that's a little bit more cost effective than just Hulu Live, which is, like you said earlier, it's like YouTube TV. It's $70 or more a month.
Yeah, between YouTube TV.
I'm not
Hulu
paying
Plus.
that to watch the Super Bowl. I'm sorry.
What's the point of cutting cable if you're going to end up paying 3 times as much for all the streaming services?
Of course, and you're already raking it in from the advertising revenue. Make this free on YouTube or something, even if it's only on your YouTube channel. Then fine.
Yeah.
All the profit will still go to you for the ads. You can't even skip them on a live broadcast. Well, we'll hopefully get access to the Super Bowl in many years to come going forward. But bravo to Tubi for, I think, pioneering a trend that you can put on the biggest show of the year, the Super Bowl, for free, or make it available for free to people, and you will not lose money.
I think that was a great idea. The Tubi was really good. We saw a little bit of the preview before the game started.
We saw a little bit of the fashion show. It was kind of cute for what it was, but it wasn't really holding our attention either. It was
was
background noise.
But there was a lot of activities going on before the game started.
Mm-hmm.
There was even Fox
Yeah,
channel,
they
we
had
saw
the analysts were on all since 9 a.m. on Tubi for free doing the whole Super Bowl pregame show.
But they were showing the Bourbon Street
Yeah.
and the New Orleans. And
They
had
showed
the
all their
live
little
band.
documentary packages about Jimmy Johnson.
They were showing the Bourbon Street with the live band, with the instruments. Why could that be translated to the halftime show with Lamar as a part of the bigger
I'll
package?
tell you why. I'll tell you why. Because of what you always tell me, checking boxes. They looked at it as they did their part. They paid their tribute to New Orleans.
But that would have been so much better.
It's just more entertaining to me as a musician always to watch other people play music, perform music. And yesterday we didn't get treated to that. We didn't see the drummer playing the beat on stage or the organ player playing the hook in Not Like Us. That's the big song that he played at the closing. I don't want to spend any more time, I guess, debating it, but that's just what was lacking for me personally with the music. I enjoyed watching even Lady Gaga was playing piano in the middle of, and then it was so forced and manufactured. The horns and stuff that went on during the pregame show on the field with Trombone Shorty and others, I love all that stuff, but I think there should be more in New Orleans with
Especially
celebration.
New Orleans.
Also, it would have opened up a lot of creative memories and like things that exist only at the Super Bowl. Obviously, this performance art will only ever exist at the Super Bowl, but you missed out on being able to like play one of your songs with Trombone Shorty during the middle of all of this. And to me, that's about bringing people together. That's about sharing musical culture and across distances and bringing the bayou into hip hop, and why not? And that's what it's about. And it didn't happen, and it needs to start to happen more. That's all. Okay. Well, the one last thing I want to say about Tubi is we didn't have any hiccups during the entire streaming. And I don't know if that means not a lot of people were watching or if they were just able to handle all the traffic ahead of time and had planned for it. But that was just another feather I wanted to put in their cap. That congratulations again on this broadcast and for letting my wife and I enjoy it.
We definitely did. It was a really nice presentation overall.
It was indeed. And yesterday we also had catchers and pitchers report for the Chicago Cubs. Everybody's. So spring training has officially begun in Major League Baseball, and that means we'll be right back here again tomorrow with another episode of the Kanika Sports Show so we can kiss it. Happy Tuesday, everybody, and give you all the latest and greatest news from around Major League Baseball, including whether or not Alex Bregman has signed with the Cubs yet. Hint, he has not as of now. But if this gets published after he gets signed somewhere, I will be in deep trouble. So enjoy. We'll see you tomorrow, everybody.
Bye.